Hope you guys are having a great day. Today we're speaking about Nick Fuentes calling out Donald Trump on his America Last agenda. And as you know, I voted for Trump. I love Trump up until this administration, this current one. He is doing some good stuff, but when it comes to immigration and how fast they're deporting people, the strongly worded messages and emails and texts that no one's even taking serious at this point, they need to go into these cities like they're doing in DC and just start taking people out. Otherwise, this will just happen in another 4 years. Straight up. And now they're talking about letting in 600,000 Chinese students into the US. We should be keeping those positions for Americans at all costs. Doesn't matter if it's school, jobs, anything. That should be for Americans since we're in America. But Epstein as well. This administration has fumbled the ball completely on the Epstein debacle. A lot of people say, well, Trump's doing good stuff, which there is some good things, but he's protecting the pedophiles that are still in charge of this country, who have ruined this country and made millions off dead Americans. So until the Epstein debacle, which will take down the whole system and expose the whole system, until that is actually taken care of, I won't believe anything that comes out of their mouth. They're doing good in regards to the border being closed, bringing in money. Now, soon to find out, we're not going to even be getting a check. We are in debt not because of us civilians. It's because the politicians sold out to get millions and millions from other countries. Why should we pay down the debt that the politicians made? Has nothing to do with us. So if you're bringing in trillions from tariffs, you should, as a sorry, we effed you for decades in your whole life with taxes, give us some type of money to taxpayers, to people who obey the law, who pay into the system and have been screwed time and time again. But Trump and this administration doesn't look like they're going to. They put Israel first. It looks like they're starting to put China's interests first as well by this video we're about to do. Let me know what you guys think. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, all the above. Let's get it started.
It's very important.
Mr. Secretary, with all due respect, how is allowing 600,000 students from the communist country of China putting America first?
Well, the president's point of view is that what would happen if you didn't have those 600,000 students is that you'd empty them from the top. All the students would go up to better schools, and the bottom 15% of universities and colleges would go out of business in America. So his view is he's taking a rational economic view, which is classic Donald Trump, looking at higher education and saying,
but why are you
until we
Harvard?
Modify that.
That just helps Harvard and UCLA and UCal Berkeley and I mean y'all helping those schools. Why? They're like basically factories of anti-American propaganda. Now they're getting a big influx of cash because of the Chinese students. I know President Trump has always been very pro-Chinese student. I just don't understand it for the life of me. Those are 600,000 spots that American kids won't get.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm involved. I'm involved in changing the H-1B program, right? We're going to change that program because that's terrible, right? We're going to change the green card. You know, we give green cards. The average American makes $75,000.
So as you can see, he's trying to deflect, but we're not falling for it. No, you shouldn't. I don't even get what his excuse is. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't trust this guy. As we also know as well, he was literally Jeffrey Epstein's next door neighbor. Anytime Trump is questioned anything in regards to Epstein, Lutnick is the one always standing right behind Trump. I think he is one of the puppet masters of Trump, and I would have never said that if you would have told me a few years ago, but it's very obvious at this point that Israel ran Epstein, and they can't expose it, because if they do expose it, a lot of people in Trump's corner, his cabinet, his administration, are part of the Epstein debacle. For example, Lutnick, who was literally Epstein's next door neighbor, folks. It's ridiculous. Israel controls everything. How about the cybersecurity expert that was right-hand man to Netanyahu that was released, what was it, a day after the pedophile sting operation in Vegas last week? You didn't hear about that on mainstream news because it is all ran by Israel. Facts. Now we're going to see what Nick Fuentes is going to say about the 600,000 Chinese students that they're talking about bringing in. Let's get it started.
So that's that. But I do want to move on. I want to get into our news for the night.
Our first story is about these Chinese students. I guess we'll get into this first because this is just delicious. So delicious. Today at a Oval Office press conference, Donald Trump announced that the United States is prepared to take in, get this, 600,000 international students from China. 600,000 students from China. Are you tired of winning yet? Got what you voted for? This is a story from Fox News that says, quote, Donald Trump said 600,000 Chinese students would be allowed into the U.S. to study at colleges amid ongoing trade talks with China. Speaking at the White House on Monday, the president's announcement signals a potential thaw in U.S.-China relations after escalating tariffs and restrictions on international students. He said, quote, I hear so many stories that we're not going to allow their students. We're going to allow their students to come in. It's very important. 600,000 students. It's very important. We're going to get along with China, he said. Trump's student visa offer comes against the backdrop of trade talks with the Chinese government. Currently, about 270,000 Chinese students are enrolled in U.S. universities. In May, Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced plans to aggressively revoke visas for Chinese nationals. But Trump has since shifted his...
As we know, it's been already exposed. China has been buying out a lot of the land farms and agriculture and land in America. Also, we have Chinese nationals, CCP spies that are in these colleges that are pushing propaganda brought to you by the CCP. And now they're talking about bringing in these 600,000 plus, just whoever, we don't even know who they are. You guys should be focusing on going to every liberal city where most of these illegals are and just start wrapping up everyone, deporting everyone that is here illegally who has not contributed to the system, who also benefits from the system that we pay taxes into. That's what the focus should be in. I cannot believe this is even a topic of discussion. We should be infuriated.
Tone telling reporters in June he's always been in favor of welcoming students from China. So last year, the government approved 400,000 student visas. There's currently roughly 250,000 Chinese students enrolled in colleges. Trump says we're going to have 600,000 additional Chinese students come in. And already the bulk of the foreign students are Chinese and Indian. We're going to double that number at least, or triple it, depending on if the existing student body population is included or if it isn't. Now, what's fascinating is that obviously this administration has backed down on its maximalist immigration agenda. Like, let's just be very, very clear about what we're saying here. The Trump administration backed down. It promised one thing, we're getting something totally different. Everyone can acknowledge this. What we were promised was mass.
Also, at this point in time, if it continues going the way that it's been going, he won't even have deported the smallest fraction of the people that need to be deported out of this country. We are not taking advantage of this huge electoral win that we had in this last administration. And yes, we have a lot of rhinos. The Conservative Party, they don't do shit. They don't do shit at all. Where is Jim Jordan, all these leaders? They're very good at texting or posting tweets and during their congressional hearings, having those viral moments, but there's no action. We have representatives with zero balls. And that's what I give props to the Democrats about. At least they go all in, even if they're breaking the law. With us, we have the law on our side. We have the proof of corruption, and yet there is zero happening. It's a slap to the face of every voter who voted for Trump, especially in regards to immigration, because that was the number one problem, as in all polls exposed. They aren't even doing this. They're probably doing 10% of what they need to be doing. Then other 90%, they're just, I don't even know what the hell they're doing.
Deportations. And what does that mean? It means door-to-door raids. All these illegal immigrants, we know where they are. We're going to identify them. We're going to remove them from the country. We're also going to slow or altogether suspend most immigration into the United States. That's sort of how it was sold to us last year. Maybe not even necessarily by Trump, but by his followers, by his influencers, by the surrogates. We were sold a bill of goods in 2016, 2020, and 2024 that together represented an America First maximalist immigration agenda. And people had visions of the 10 million illegals under Biden being removed from America. That illegal immigrant labor would be cracked down on using E-Verify, making it more difficult to hire these people. The largest domestic deportation operation since Operation Wetback, among other things. What we're getting is different. Basically, since Trump got into office, he has walked it back and said, well, we're not going
and
to.
Obama deported more people than Trump is. If it continues on this, it's not even going to fix a small fraction of the problems. Just like when Biden got in, it literally went from border secure to overran. If we don't get this shit going, arrest and these people charged and sent back to their countries, it's just going to be the same. In 3 years, when we have a new election, the Democrats are going to find out to cheat like they did in 2020, and it's going to go straight back to the same rules and regulations because there's no consequences at all.
To deport the illegal immigrants that have jobs. And which jobs did he say? The jobs that have the biggest percentage of illegal immigrants working them. Meat processing plants, farms, construction sites, hotels, restaurants. Basically, from the time Trump got into office, he started to talk about a carve-out, instructing DHS to slow and eventually suspend the deportation of illegal immigrant labor. We saw very quickly that the numbers were not where they needed to be. We were not getting enough removals. We were not getting enough arrests, even. And so we were promised one thing, we're getting something else. What's more, we're getting all this legal immigration. There's talk of stapling green cards to diplomas, bringing in these international students. They approved the maximum amount of H-1B visas for this year already, about 127,000. So we were promised one thing, we're getting something else. We're promised a maximalist agenda. They're walking that back, letting us down gently, and the enforcement is something that's completely different. And all we're saying is, we want what we were promised. We want the America First immigration agenda. We want Trump to follow through. But I, and many people like me, knew that it was never going to happen. We knew last year that it was never going to happen. This is why I take immense satisfaction in the disappointment. Because last year, Republican influencers were paid to lie. They were paid to disregard the truth and ignore the evidence, and they were effectively complicit. Maybe they were the most responsible for creating this perception that we were going to get something other than what was realistic. They said mass deportations enthusiastically. Last year, when Trump said he would staple green cards to diplomas, they said to disregard that. They said, pay no attention to that. That's not real. Now that we're getting the realistic immigration agenda of an administration that is beholden to Wall Street and Silicon Valley and the needs of capital, and now you say, well, we told you so. Did you get what you voted for?
No.
It looks like you fell for it again. The Republican Party, which is controlled by the wealth interests, the special interests that profit from the labor.
Neocons.
Once again, they tricked you. They lied to you. They used nativist rhetoric. They used xenophobic rhetoric. And by xenophobic, I mean that in the colloquial sense. They played up this talk about immigrants and deportations, Haitians eating cats and dogs. They did that self-consciously to trick you. It was a calculated deception. They knew that white people had been radicalized by the millions of illegals that Biden brought in. And so they leaned into those.
And this goes back to my point. If we don't get this shit situated in the next year or two before midterms, it's just going to continue. This is going to come right back when it comes to open the border, when it comes to getting rid of these illegals. It's going to go right back to what it was under Kamala and Biden, because Trump is not doing what he said. Again, he's doing some good things. Tariffs bringing in money. But guess what? That money is going to pay down the debt that the politicians, not us, the politicians got us into. So that's a broken promise. I mean, I can go through like 6 things right now that Trump said he was going to do that now he's not. Epstein files, locking up people in the deep state. None of that is happening.
Sympathies. They leaned into those feelings and that antagonism. And they did that deliberately, knowing that that would make you enthusiastic about voting. And they knew that was a bait and switch, because they all realistically, they did not ever want mass deportations. The billionaires, the oligarchs, Trump in his heart of hearts does not really want mass deportations, is not really committed to that. And as a matter of fact, what they really want is more cheap labor, just the kinds of labor that they need. The high-skilled tech labor, Indian programmers, illegal immigrant berry pickers, farm workers, meat packing workers.
Customer care service operators. Every time you spoke to someone over the phone in regards to debt, making payments, etc., they're always people from other countries. They're doing it because they could pay them slave-type labor, very minimal pay, while we get paid shit, while we get the jobs last. It's sad.
They knew all along they needed and wanted the labor. And they knew that they would say one thing to get your vote, and then once they got it, they would do something else. You fell for it. You fell. And that's the oldest trick in the book, by the way. They've been doing that forever. The Republicans forever have been pandering to the nativist sensibilities of white people and telling them, law and order, they're all going back. We're going to make America great again. In different words, they've been doing this forever. And then when they get in, they govern just like Democrats. And you fell for it again, like you've fallen for it many times, like you fell for it in 2016. That's what we say. Now, I see all of the cope online. This announcement is made. And like, look, I
wouldn't say they're the same in lockstep with the Democrats, because at least with Trump, he is getting rid of the trans agenda and the men and women sports. He is getting rid of that. And that's the Democrats' like favorite thing to talk about is dudes in skirts. When it comes to the border, he is securing the border. Democrats, no, at all. They were going to leave that border wide open so everyone and their mom can come through. So I will give them that. Tariffs that seem to be working, yet we're getting nothing from them. So it looks like they're going to be paying off the debt that the politicians created for us. Those are 3 things right there that I think he's doing well in. That's it, though.
600,000 Chinese international students is not America first. It just isn't. And I'll tell you why. Because at the Ivy League universities, their student body is like 24% from other countries. Those are all seats that could go to Americans. Why would we fill up spots at Harvard and Yale and Stanford and MIT with foreigners? That's not America first. So there's finite resources here. They get those seats, Americans don't. And we're not saying you have 0 foreign students, but a quarter of them, 25% are international. And then what do? After they graduate from university, they'll apply for something like the OPT program, and they will get preferable treatment from the government. For a company to hire a Chinese tech worker out of college on the OPT program, or the OTP, optional training program, for a company to hire someone on one of these work visas, they don't have to pay certain taxes. They don't have to pay as high of wages. And they know that these workers are dependent on the employer for their visa. So they're effectively like indentured servants. So they can pay what they want. The conditions are what they want. They control those people. And those are the good jobs, the high-paying jobs, the important jobs that should be going to Americans. Instead, they're going to foreigners. They're going to Chinese people and Indians. And who does that benefit? Well, it benefits the foreigners, and it benefits the employers that hire them. This is not America first. Now, you go on Twitter and you say, we can't have this. Why is our America First president suggesting this? Like, the words came out of his mouth. He was elected on America First. He won in a landslide. They all claimed that this would confer upon him a mandate to use state power to just do things. And it would inaugurate a golden age. Like, this is what they said. You sold us this. You promised this. Those were your words. We're going to use state power to just do things and inaugurate a golden age, and you're all going back. You said that. You said that. That was your promise. You're our vengeance. No, but this time we mean it. Why, oh why, then, is that president telling us we're going to bring in 600,000 Chinese students? What could possibly be the reason for that? What could possibly be the reason? Wasn't the whole argument that he doesn't have to run for re-election, so he's beholden to no one? Wasn't the whole argument that if he gets the House and Senate, then, we could just do things? So why? Why? Why is Trump talking about 600,000 Chinese students? And someone like myself goes out and says, hey, this is ridiculous. This is not what we were promised. We're against this. We don't want this. And what do all of Trump's supporters say on Twitter? People that hate the Groypers are on Twitter today saying, oh, well, Trump is just saying that. Okay, but why does he need to say that? I see people making excuses, and they're saying, well, it wouldn't be better if Kamala won. Hang on a second. Who's saying it would be better if Kamala won? All we're saying is we don't want 600,000 Chinese students. And there's this phenomenon where it seems that Trump's biggest cheerleaders, they have a bigger problem with me than they do with Trump's terrible policies. And this is what we talked about last week with the visas. What is actually the job of these influencers? Is their job to speak on behalf of the people to the president, or is their job to speak on behalf of the president to the people? In other words, is their job to channel the grievances and express the sentiments of the people to power? These are our demands. This is what we want. We won't support you unless we get this? Or is their job to talk to the people on behalf of the power and to explain to the people why they should continue supporting the power no matter what? And when the power betrays the people, here's why that's not a big deal. Here's why they don't really mean that. Here's why that's actually okay. Whose side are you on here? Loyalty to Trump and the GOP is a means to an end. What is the end? The end is America First. The end is that we free our country of foreign influence from Israel, from immigrants, from intelligence agencies, from ethnic interest lobbies. The goal is to free America, to restore America, to make it a European civilization again, to make it a Christian civilization, free of foreign influence. If Trump is not doing that for us by slowing deportations for illegal workers, by bringing in hundreds of thousands of Chinese students, by bowing to Israel, then Trump must be, at the minimum, chastised, called out, shamed, criticized. We must cease supporting him. We must pressure him. We must voice our displeasure at what he's doing at the minimum. But they seem to be more concerned about.
I completely agree. And I've heard conservatives saying, well, I agree with a lot of what he's doing, and it would have been worse under Kamala. We cannot use that as an excuse anymore. We need to call our side out when they're not doing what they said they would do.
How we voice that displeasure and whether we're still going to vote for Trump or whether we'll still vote for Republicans. Now, let's get to the bottom of it. Forget all this stuff about they're saying, I'm saying. Let's just talk about what's going on here. The reason that Trump is doing this is because the business interests want it. That's why. Why do we get immigration into America at all? legal, illegal, high skill, low skill. Why is it happening? It's happening because it is good for the people that have all the wealth. That's the bottom line. There are people that own productive assets that make money, and there are people that do not have assets and they sell their labor. There is capital and there are workers of various stripes.
Yep.
Capital needs the cheapest labor possible. That is their that's the biggest expense in their business. If you own Walmart,
yeah, they can hire people who from other countries will work at the very cheapest amount of money per hour, where if you paid Americans, they will expect more. And they'll also have child labor work in these camps where they produce drugs, make weed, and instead of having Americans who will want more because they're from America. I mean, that's probably the number one reason right there. Cheaper labor. That's why we have illegals here.
What is most expensive if you own Walmart is the labor. It's not the goods, it's not the logistics or the fuel or the real estate. It's the receipt checkers, it's the cashiers, it's the managers, it's the corporate executives. It's the labor. That is one of the biggest costs. That is a cost they're trying to get lower. How do you make labor cheaper? You bring in more of it. You bring in a lot more of it. As the supply goes up, the price goes down. The more of something there is, the cheaper it becomes. The more abundant something becomes, this is basic supply and demand, the lower the cost is. So as long as wealth is powerful, as long as wealth is politically powerful, you're going to have infinite labor. Why does Trump want 600,000 Chinese students here? Well, he doesn't, but Elon Musk does. Silicon Valley does. Silicon Valley wants the Chinese programmers because they're cheaper. Because they're cheaper and they're easier. We can bring in these Chinese people, train them up real easy, get them to work for us. They're super cheap. They'll do what we say. It's not impossible for Americans to do these jobs. It's just going to cost more. It's going to cost more to scout them out. It's going to cost more to train them up. It's going to cost more to provide benefits and a living wage. It's going to be more competitive. But that's good for America. That's good for the American people. That's good for the American worker, because we keep the money here in our country. And Americans that live here, that have lived here, are going to get the good jobs. They're going to get the skills that are valuable. They're going to get the money. They're going to get benefits. They're going to have a good quality of life. And a lot of more Americans who can get those jobs are going to be upwardly mobile and climb the ladder. That's good for America. Even if it's more expensive for the wealthy, even if it's more expensive for the bottom line of the wealthy. Lower profits for the most valuable companies, which means the numbers aren't as good on Wall Street for the asset managers that own the majority stake in those companies like BlackRock and Vanguard and so on. But it's better for America. It's better for Main Street. It's maybe more expensive for Silicon Valley and Wall Street. But the reason that the Republicans are bringing in all this labor is because the Republicans are owned by the business interests. That's why it mattered that Trump took $270 million from Elon Musk. That's why it mattered that he took $200 million from Timothy Mellon. That's why it mattered that he took all this money from the billionaires. And so did all of the...
And if you don't think it's a coincidence that Mark Zuckerberg and all these liberals, even the Amazon CEO, all switch sides just because it worked in their favor more, you're crazy. They were all leftists. They all campaigned, donated to Biden and Obama. And then the minute they saw that the culture war was shifting to the right and that Trump was going to win the presidency, they all bowed the knee. They all tiptoed around Trump and gave him what he wanted, which was donations and money. And look what's happening now. They are in the ears of these politicians 100%.
Congressmen on the Republican side in Congress, because if they take the money, they're beholden to the money. They're beholden to wealth. They're beholden to capital and to the system. And that's why they will bring in 600,000 Chinese to work at Intel, to work at the American tech industry. That's why they'll allow the illegal immigrants to stay here, because it's big construction companies, because it's big agriculture companies that employ the illegal immigrant labor. That's why. So now the reason I spell all this out is to say, trusting Trump is like, that's not politics. Politics is to use our power. If Elon Musk has money, well, we have votes. Okay? Elon Musk can bribe Trump with money. I want 600,000 Chinese students, but we have the votes. So we can go to Trump and say, well, let's say there's 1 million voters that will not vote for you if you bring in visas. This is how we use our power on the politicians. Maybe they have the money, but we have people power. At the end of the day, they need to turn us out to vote. This is where we get together and we form a voting bloc and say, if you're not serious about curtailing immigration, we won't vote for you. Just like how Elon Musk would say, if you're not serious about giving us the labor needs that we need, we're not giving you money. That's politics.
I really believe this immigration situation with this administration will be the death of the Republican Party. If they don't get it together and start doing mass deportations as they ran on, no one's going to trust the Republican side. I mean, it's already at an all-time low. Democrats is lower, of course, but we need some party to step the hell up and do something. Enough fancy written tweets. Do something.
So when you see Trump say something like this, and he says, we're going to bring in 600,000 new Chinese students, and people are telling you, it's cool. No, he doesn't mean it. Don't say anything. Don't voice your displeasure. Don't say you're not going to support him. Whose side are they on? They're class traitors. They're traitors to America. They're working for Trump. They're working for Trump, who's working for the billionaires. This is the only way to think about politics. Loyalty to Trump is not the end-all, be-all. Loyalty to the Republican Party is not the end-all, be-all. We have to take our own side. Don't take Trump's side. Don't take Elon Musk's side or the Republican side. What is a Republican? That doesn't mean anything. Take your own side. You are white. You are working or middle class. You have student loan debt. You sent out 400 job applications. You didn't hear back once. Take your own side. If Trump isn't giving you a job, don't vote for him. Oh, he's better than the Democrats. For who? For who? Trump is better than the Democrats for Israel, for the oil and gas industry, for Silicon Valley, for Wall Street. Is he really better for us? I don't think so. My student loans got like reactivated or something. You know what Biden did? Biden made it so that medical debt doesn't go on your credit report. That was good for me. Biden tried to forgive.
I think that we should forgive debt. With as much as our money has been spent into oblivion and there's been no consequences for these politicians, we should forgive debt as long as you are contributing citizen to America, as long as you don't, even if you have a criminal past, if you have turned a good way and now push your life in a positive outlet, I think that you should be forgiven. But unfortunately, we don't get that chance in America yet. These illegals get free everything. A lot of these liberal states don't even require a background check or a credit check when it comes to receiving free housing for 6 months. We in every single way are getting screwed in the ass by our politicians, both sides.
The student loans, that was good for me. Now, I'm not saying vote for Biden. I'm not saying vote for anyone in particular. Don't you understand? I'm saying Republicans want you to eat a shit sandwich and be okay with it because you're taking one for the team. Ben Shapiro is going to sit there and say, Israel needs $25 billion, but if you expect me to forgive your student loans, well, that's not basic economics. He's taking his own side. Get it? We are supposed to take their side. We're supposed to have this team player. I'll vote for Republican no matter what. Oh, okay, you won't forgive my student loans? Okay, well, that's because the free market said so. The free market says that Republicans have enough money to bomb Iran, but not enough money to pay for my student loans. And I'm going to vote for that because I'm an idiot, because I'm a sucker, because I like getting raped. I like when my money's taken from me. I like being screwed.
Also, it's been reported that Israel gets an average of about $15 billion of our hard-earned taxpayer funds every single year. That should piss off every American.
Like, that's you. You're a fucking cuck. You understand? You're a fucking loser. Like, do you get it? You're sitting there rationalizing like nothing has gotten better for us. Nothing has gotten better for us at all. At all. They changed the name of the Gulf of Mexico on the map. They're changing the name of the Pentagon to the Department of War. They bought a 10% stake in Intel. They're bringing in all these visas. They're bombing Iran. Trump, I've seen what you could do for others. Bless me in the same way. They won't. They won't do it. You vote to get screwed and you think you're on the team? They won't give you jobs. They won't let you into Harvard. They won't forgive your student loans. They won't cut your taxes. What have they done for you ever? Take your own side. Introduce a little chaos. You know, I'm like the Joker giving young white men the gun.
Who else hopes that Nick Fuentes runs for political office? I could see him being a president someday. I hope he does run in this next midterm or some upcoming election, because he would get a huge vote of the voting population.
And saying, hey, man, you got to create your own luck here. Gavin Newsom, Trump, Kamala. But how about I will vote for whoever says white. I will vote for whoever says they're going to help me. As long as Trump is just helping, you know, this. And by the way, Silicon Valley, it is literally a collection of Jewish spies, immigrants, Indians, Asians, cosmopolitan atheists. Like, when you look at Elon Musk, he's a Redditor atheist immigrant. Mark Andreessen is like a liberal atheist. The All In podcast, one of them's name is Chamath. His last name's unpronounceable. David Sachs is a Jew. It's like, so Silicon Valley is the epitome of what MAGA is supposed to be set against. They are the wealthiest elites. They are transnational. In many cases, they're foreign nationals. They are cosmopolitan. They're as liberal as it gets. By definition, they're liberal. They're progressive in that they are transhumanists. They're technologists. And Trump, in many ways, is beholden to them, and we were okay with that. It's just downright sick how white people have been tricked by this scam. So, and to get to the point, you have people on Twitter, they have a laserized profile picture. They have these bios talking about, you're going back. It's a Trumpenreich. They think they're on the team. They're not. They're the mascot of a team that fucking hates them. You are sitting there in a mascot costume with the foam finger and everything for a team that hates you. For a team that doesn't care about you. For a team of cosmopolitan, transnational, foreign national, atheist progressives that, who do you think is behind the H-1B scam? Who do you think is behind all this stuff? When you see the new construction owned by Indians, when you see all this new money coming in from Asia, who do you think's doing that? So, you know, do not be gaslit by these people that will cope. Anything that Trump does, they will cope and seethe about it. They will say, oh, well, when Trump says something bad, disregard that. Oh, Trump said something good. Here's why Trump is still awesome. Vote for Republicans no matter what. You have to just let go of that. Stop being the sucker. Stop being in the cuck chair. While the Silicon Valley Indians are having their way with your country. You know, earlier in the year, I'm old enough to remember Vivek Ramaswamy say that Americans are losers because they don't do their homework and they don't do math triathlons or whatever. And everybody said, oh, Vivek is going back. And then Trump endorsed him for governor of Ohio. Can anyone explain that one to me? Hey, John Doyle. Hey, Mystery Grove Publishing. Can you explain Trump endorsing Vivek, the fucking anchor baby, for governor of Ohio? Care to explain that one? Or how about the other Vivek? You know, J.D. Vance's son, who's an Indian, whose mom is a tiger mom, who was brought together with her husband by the tiger mom, Amy Chua. You want to explain that one to me? What's the code for that one? You're a cuck. You are in the cuck chair. Silicon Valley and Wall Street, foreign nationals from Israel and Asia are fucking your country. They're raping your country. They're raping the Republican Party. The Republican Party is doing tricks on it, and you are sitting in the corner cheering it on. You are sitting in the corner cheering it on, celebrating, just loving every minute of it, saying, all right, golden age, Trump got elected. Oh, they bombed Iran. That's okay, guys, that's okay. Oh, they're bringing in 600,000 Chinese. It's okay. Oh, they're not deporting any illegal immigrant farm workers. Oh, well, they're not talking about the census. They're not talking about the census survey. Pathetic. So you got to remove yourself from this Republican. It's like a Stockholm syndrome. That's the Chinese students. It couldn't come at a better time. We just got done last week. I saw some Twitter account, Fugitive Caesar. The State Department made an announcement that they're going to trawl through 50 million visa applicants or visa holders and see if anyone is anti-Semitism. And one of these cocksucking MAGA shills goes, take that, Nick Fuentes. Screw you, see? And not 3 days later, 600,000 F1 visas for the Chinese, really? So which one is it? Why are we playing these games? Every other week, it's a battle in the Trump administration. We're going to do the visas. We're not. We're going to take them away. No, we're not. And meanwhile, the clock just keeps ticking. And we get closer to Trump leaving office. Call me when you're serious about putting America first.
Well, he ain't wrong. We need to stop saying, let's pick the best or the best of the two terrible candidates, because I feel like up until now, we've just had terrible candidates. And it's always the best of the two worst. And it's just ridiculous. We should strive and demand more from our politicians, especially the president of the United States, who were promised mass deportations, not happening. We were told they'd bring money back from tariffs. Shit's still expensive. Wow, we're getting zero back from the tariffs. They're paying off the national debt that the politicians themselves got us into. I mean, everything's still expensive, as I just previously said. Our daily lives are not getting cheaper. Streets aren't being cleaned up. Some may be, but the mass majority are not happening. They promise fast change, and that fast change isn't fast enough, and we need to demand more accountability and more from our politicians. It sucks that it's come to a point in our lifetime that we have to pick one of the two worst. They don't bring anything good to our lives. They don't contribute to our daily lives, and they are so out of touch with your normal everyday American voter and what we deal with in society, and it's a slap to the face of every voter. I wish there was a way we can do a mass no vote to where we would hold these politicians accountable. I say we start bringing in ex-military, actual patriots, normal everyday Americans who actually give a shit about the process and putting our country's interests first instead of Israel and all these other overseas countries that pay off our politicians and influence their vote. Anyways, I will be posting another Nick Fuentes video later in regards to him and Patrick Bet-David, the PBD podcast, where he goes scorched earth on PBD. Hope you guys have a blessed day, and I will talk to you soon. Peace.